Hi everyone, it's Patricia, Worby Alchemy Therapies here, and another in my ongoing series of conversations. And this time I'm with my friend and colleague Paula Fenegan, who is a nutrition and wellbeing coach. And actually we've just been having a chat, haven't we, Paula, before our recording here, about the subject we were going to talk about. And today I thought what would be a really nice subject is how much is kind of educating people about health and well-being. How much is that a part of what you do? And tell me a little bit about the approach that you take with people.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. I think education is such an important part because people are so inundated with the media that they see, with adverts and things like that on the TV, and then it's so easy to be coggled into thinking, oh, this is really healthy, it's it's low fat, it's this, that and the other. So I try to come from the premise that if we can get your gut working functionally as it should do, you're given the microbiome that we know that's in the gut there, that is, we're 90% bacteria, aren't we? We're more bacteria than we are human cells. So if we can get them working for us, because they help to produce our B vitamins, they're helping us to produce our serotonin or our happy hormones and things like that. So if the gut's happy, then the brain is working optimally. So then when the brain's working optimally, then we can look at things rationally and go, okay, how can I change things in life? And you can actually look at food with an appreciation for real food. You're not craving all those sugars and those processed foods that are just, when you're not feeling great, they are so easy, aren't they, to come by, and they give you that quick fix.
Yeah.
So that's the angle I'm kind of coming towards with people.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I did a bit of research on the microbiome because I wrote a book about it, actually.
I've got it upstairs.
Oh, the world within. Yeah.
The world within, yeah.
What was really interesting in my research was that the different kinds of bacteria that respond to the kinds of foods that most people eat, so junky food, high carbs, those sorts of things, actually signal for you to eat more. They create the cravings.
It's so clever, isn't it?
Yeah. So they signal to the brain via the production of certain neurotransmitters, sugar craving, and actually keep themselves going. So it's just, I know, amazing.
So they're clever little critters, aren't they, really? That they're going to keep themselves going.
But you raised, go on.
Carry on. I was just going to say, and then if you throw in a bit of antibiotics as well, and then you've got, you've disrupted completely the microbiome, and then the bad bacteria are going to grow back that much quicker. Yes. And obviously they're the ones that are going to be craving those foods.
Yeah. So a lot of people do have bouts of, infection which are treated routinely with antibiotics, or here's an important point, they have pets that are treated routinely with antibiotics. And of course we transfer our microbiome between each other. Yeah. So if you're stroking your pet and it's it's had antibiotics, it's changed its bacterial complement, you're likely to transfer a little bit of that to you, so it can actually affect your microbiome. So
I didn't realize that.
Absolutely amazing. We tend to kind of share with each other, obviously with other humans in your household. There are patterns of kind of the types of microbes that are present in your gut. But you raised a really important point there about the brain and the links between the gut and the brain. I thought that deserves a little bit more understanding. Most people tend to think they're completely separate entities, that what happens in your gut doesn't affect your brain and vice versa. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, they're connected by the vagus nerve. Vagus is the Latin mean wandering nerve. It's the longest nerve in the body. So there are actually more connections going from the gut to the brain than there are from the brain going the other way around. It's got its own little brain going on down there. There's research to say it is your second brain, is it? I believe I read once that when the baby was forming, that you get the brain and then you get the spinal cord, and you're then getting a digestive system even before the heartbeat starts to be created. So it's the same sort of cells, which backs up the thinking that when you get a gut feeling about something, that's a genuine reason, that it's reacting to the environment, it's picking up from the brain and what have you. So if you can I think we all instinctively know it, because if you've had a really healthy meal and you feel happy and you feel, quite joyful, and it's like if you've had a really crap day and you've eaten a load of junk foods, you're feeling so lethargic and you're just like, and it's just like, well, there's a rationale for that, and being able to explain that to people and to demonstrate that to people. Well, different foods, take the known aggravators out for a while, and see how you feel. And it's amazing the difference that people can feel. Excuse me, I have to cough. But yeah,
so changing the gut to change the brain. And now how about vice versa, changing the mindset, changing the brain and the way you think about food? For instance, I wrote a blog yesterday called Food is Not Just Energy. It's more than energy. It's a transfer of energy, actually, from one form to another. It's a transfer from food, the energy in the food to yourself, but it's also it changes the way your brain works, and the ideas you have around food are so significant, aren't they, as to how you will function, how well you'll be in life, So how do you go about kind of changing people's attitude to food and creating these motivations, if you like, to change their life?
I think you've got to meet people where they are, because we all come from different backgrounds. Some people have been brought up where mum was home cooked. Other people grow up where, mums had to work 2-3 jobs. So, a lot of stuff came out of a box or what have you. It's being able to educate them to make it easy for people, because I think when it's difficult, then they won't stick to it. If you can make it easy enough to make it to people, show them some really straightforward, easy recipes that they can do, they build in confidence then that they're actually comfortable in the kitchen. It actually is tasty. And then they're kind of like, they especially when you've taken the over processed foods out, they've got a natural taste back now, and then when they, they're kind of like, actually, this tastes better. And when it tastes better and they enjoy it, and then they start to feel better in themselves, I think then it just becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy then of kind of going, actually, I enjoy this. I like to feel this. I want to feel this way. It's possible to feel this way. So many people don't. So many people don't know what it feels like to feel well, to have energy. They wake up and they go straight for the coffee and the tea, and it's just like, you can have a cup of tea and coffee. I'm not anti-caffeine totally in that respect, but it's just like your body's just gone 8-9 hours with no fluid, and now you're going to whack in coffee. That's like getting in your car stone cold and putting your foot flat on the floor and trying to go at 80 miles an hour. You're not going to do it any good, really, are you? You're going to do a lot of damage. So it's just giving them little tweaks each time, to say, okay, try this way for a while, see if this works for you. How about getting the water in, because water is so fundamental, and it's one that people just don't think about. They don't realize that how much that they're looking for foods, and actually maybe they might be dehydrated. If they haven't got the water, they're not going to process the foods properly either, and they don't realize the lack of water, how that contributes to the tiredness, how it reduces their physical capabilities by at least 10% when you're dehydrated. So it's giving them little ideas really that they can work with, that they can implement, because to change it all in one go, it's just like, I can't do that. And we know that. You see that with in January, what is it, by about January the 17th, when everybody's by then has given up on any New Year's resolution, because they've tried to change too much too soon.
I like that. I like the fact that you mentioned enjoyment as well, because so much of this the diet movement, for instance, you're on a diet and it's all about deprivation, it's all about restriction, it's all about controlling what you eat. And what you're talking about is actually adding in things that make life more joyful and as you said, a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the better you feel, the more you're more inclined to have these foods.
That way.
I've got an experience actually, which was really funny. It must be over 10 years ago now. I went on a green juice week at a retreat. But it was a very strange experience actually, because the woman that ran it was a very evangelical woman. I mean, I don't mean in a Christian sense. I mean, she was just absolutely, green foods were it. and if you had anything else, you were she actually said sugar is the devil. She said that one day. And I'm like, well, sugar, sugar's nice sometimes, it's just we have too much of it. But I went from my normal diet to green juicing, just green juicing, nothing else. And my body just went into free fall, but by day 4, after I went through a great deal of sickness, actually, I actually literally vomited a lot, because we had very strong liver detoxification as well. The grass, what's it called? Green wheatgrass, yeah, wheatgrass juice as well. So it was
very cleansing.
It was too much. It was exactly what you're just describing. Too much, too soon. So I went through this massive detoxification. But what I remember is by day 4, what I craved was salad. Crunchy, something with a texture that I could chew. But it wasn't sugar, it wasn't crisps, it wasn't things that you'd imagine. It was a crisp, juicy salad. That is what my body was saying, I need. And so we moved on day 4 to solid food. And then we sort of picked up, and it went back to kind of more like your normal diet. But I think we are, we have to acknowledge we are psychological creatures as well, and that making food palatable, making it a joyful experience and tasty, is a really big part of moving people from where they are to where they want to be. So how much do you kind of educate people, as well as kind of giving them plans and ideas? How much education do you do?
Well, if they go through, I'll take you, I tried to get them to do the 21-day program initially. Now, yes, that is quite strict, but that's because we're trying to get them to a level where they can then carry on themselves. And then off the back of that, then, as I was saying to you, once they're helpful, with the gut is functioning properly, then I can coach them to see how they want to change life in generally. So I think you need to do a lot of education around, we were saying that food's there to be enjoyed, but, to be able to adjust their taste buds to go, this is why these foods are helpful. I don't know about you. I kind of find if I know why something is helpful, then I'm more inclined to do it. And, to be aware in those initial stages that, okay, if you've been eating a lot of sugar, a lot of caffeine, just like you did, there's going to be a certain amount of withdrawal that you're coming away from it. But knowing that is normal and that is part of the course, then you can go through it. And to be able to show them some really simple, easy recipes, because so many people, it's ironic, isn't it, that we have a plethora of chefs on the TV and all these cookbooks, and yet as a nation we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's just like, you're not actually doing the recipes, are you? Because you're probably sat there in front of the TV with a bag of Doritos and
cooking is a passive cooking, viewing anyway, is a passive activity now, isn't it? It's a bit strange. Yes,
I mean, I quite like Rick Stein, because he kind of inspires me to want to go and eat fish, actually. But there are different ones you can do. But I forgot what you were saying, really.
The education and training people to understand more about their bodies, and how much is that a big part of transformation, of change?
100%, because if you've got the right mindset, we all know ourselves, if you've had a bad night's sleep, people don't realize how that really impacts what you eat. So if you've had a bad night's sleep for whatever reason, if you've had a load of caffeine the day before, you've had a stressful day at work, you had an upset or whatever, and you've gone to bed on it, and you've not slept well, you're going to wake up drained. And your body is going to go, I need energy, and I need energy fast. So naturally, it's going to crave caffeine, and naturally, it's going to crave sugar, because it's trying to give you what it needs to keep you going. So it's kind of like, right, let's look at your sleep pattern. Why is your sleep pattern so bad? A lot of people are going through the menopause and things like that, which I really feel for them, because not being able to get a decent night's sleep is horrendous. And if you've got all the hot sweats and everything else going through it,
that's me.
But I'm okay on that bit. But I get the low mood side things. But yes, to support your sleep pattern Okay, so now your sleep pattern's good. You know, is your hydration levels are good? Are you able to drink plenty of water? Are you drinking, you know, your herbal teas or what have you? If you're going to have a tea or coffee, by all means, but, you know, don't hammer it, sort of thing. Then, you know, think about the healthier foods to put in. So many of us start the day with high carbs, and it's just like, it's counterintuitive, because early in the morning is when your body is producing the most hydrochloric acid in your stomach to break things down. So it's an ideal opportunity to put protein in. And when we get enough protein in, then we feel more satiated. Then we're not craving all the other foods quite so easily then. So it's little tweaks like that people don't know, that, you know, they've been brought up on Kellogg's cornflakes for years, and it's just like, I'm having cereal and toast and I'm going out the door with a cup of coffee. I'm having I don't know, a sandwich at lunchtime and pasta in the evening, and then they're going, why do I feel so tired? And it's just like, because you've given your body such a hit of wheat, which is highly processed. You know, you're riding that roller coaster of sugar, aren't you? And you're going up and down and up and down. When people can understand that actually what I'm eating is making that worse, if I can make little tweaks during the day, actually I don't feel quite like that. Then they want to carry on.
No, indeed. Well, I mean, I really admire that, because I think it's great to be able to explain to people why they feel the way they do and how they can change it. And I know with my own business, my own awareness is that explaining to people why they feel the way they do. So they come to me usually with emotional issues, or they've got symptoms that relate to emotional issues like fatigue and pain and anxiety. And one of the first things I do with people is I explain why you're feeling the way you're feeling is not your fault. It's not because you've done something bad or wrong. It's actually your system is adjusting to the information it's got, you know, whether the food is the information, or in my case, it's usually beliefs, past experiences that haven't been metabolized. And the information is teaching your body that you're in a shutdown state, that you're in threat, you know. So just destigmatizing that and saying, this is what's going on and why, the relief that people feel just to hear that it isn't them, it isn't an unknown or unexplained thing, which is what modern medicine says. It says, we don't know why you've got chronic fatigue syndrome. It's just luck of the draw, or it's genes. Two very easy options, but neither of them true. Genetics have they do have a part to play, but it's the environment mostly, as you know. Just to say, actually, there is a reason. There are reasons probably, and we can tackle them gently, bit by bit. We can reduce the negative information, this cycle of boom and bust, which is what you were talking about with the sugar cycle. And for me, it's seeing people, you know, going into hyper arousal, kind of like, oh, wired, and kind of like, oh, everything's on the go, and then going and crashing, which is the hypo arousal. So it's about balance, isn't it? And about giving people information that allows them to adjust their own bodies. And this is a vital part of what we do, you and me, in different ways. So
it's empowering the individual, isn't it? And particularly that you see where people go, I have no, you know, a lot of them in that sort of chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia don't you know, the emotional pain is so hard that they've buried it. They don't even realize that they've buried it. And it's just like to be able to explain to them that, you know, there is a way out, and to empower them to be able to get there is half the battle. And I think that's where complementary therapies have their place, and it would be so wonderful if they were amalgamated into the NHS as a whole, because my belief has always been with any illness, if you can take that person and you can look at their nutrient status and get that at optimum levels. So it's, you know, you've got the optimum levels of your B's, your C's, what have you. Your diet is as good as it's going to be and it's appropriate for you, because you don't have to go down the keto or all these different ones. It's just what is appropriate for your body type, for your genetics and what have you. Then whatever else kicks in, you might need a little bit of medication here and there, but not in the volume that we tend to give it out straight away. We straight away go for the pill and then go, there's the pill, carry on doing what you're doing, which, you know, is complete definition of madness, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. If you carry on doing what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got.
What you've always got.
So And it's amazing right now because we're seeing a lot of people having long-term chronic conditions, and it seems to be increasing for various reasons. And yet we mentioned it, the cognitive dissonance, that this is anything that they could change, or that could be something going on in their bodies that could be alterable, is huge. And it's sort of like you give away your power to be fixed. And that's certainly what I did when I got ill, because that was the only model I had. I do want to explain to people I haven't always been an alternative, a person, or I was very, very conventional, very straight down the line. Science was my god. Although of course I had a very, very narrow vision of what the science was, because I was only shown a certain aspect of it. The science actually behind a lot of these alternative therapies, I don't even like that word, but
no, it's quite derogatory, limiting. Isn't it?
It's sort of like, oh, you're one of those alternative people, or holistic is even worse. But I mean, it's a beautiful word, but it's used in a
kind of overused, isn't it? But it's interesting, isn't it, when you say that about, you only know that because that's the level that you're shown. And I always equate that to white light. So there's ultraviolet light and there's infrared. Now, just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. They are there. It's only when you get a rainbow, isn't it? And you suddenly go, oh, look, that's the color of white light that's there all the time. But all you're seeing is this bit in the middle. And there is a plethora and a huge spectrum of what can work for different people. And with Bruce Lipton, when he did the biology of belief, and he proved, didn't he, in a petri dish, that it's just like, actually, if you change the environment, that cell went to become a bone cell, that one went to become a white blood cell. And he said the only difference he's changed is the environment. And you can see that in schools, can't you? Because you get in the right environment, and that child is nourished and they're given opportunities to thrive and do it, they do. And then, but you go into an inner city school and they're straight, in certain schools where they might be, it might be derogatory. It's like, you're not going anywhere, so end of. We're not going to even put anything there. Of course they're not going to change, because all they see is that. They don't see the capacity that they can be so much more. So much more.
That's beautiful. We could have a whole nother discussion on that, and I know that I'd love to. Maybe that's part 2 at some point.
We must do part 2. I would love to. I would love to be able to mentor a child, really, because I think it's such an opportunity to be able to help them and go, okay, so you want to go, all right, you want to be a footballer, so why not give it a go, see if you can do it, go to put the training in, go find out if you can do it. Okay, you might not make it to be a professional footballer, but you might enjoy it and have such joy doing it.
It's giving children in particular, but anyone, it's giving them options. It's opening up their world instead of closing it down, because what illness does is it closes down your options. But what schooling does is it closes down your options. It should be the other way around, but it narrows you and narrows you and narrows you until you're good for one thing, or so I think it's about opening up the dialogue with who are you, what would you love to be, how would you like to feel? That's a great question with clients. How would you like to feel, right? Because everybody, they might not know what they want to do, or who what arena they want to be in, but they will know exactly how they want to feel. I want to be in an area that nurtures me, that sustains me. I want to have good friendships. I want to have meaning in my life, blah 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 blah. And so I think people really can be empowered, and that's really what you and I do in different ways. And I just want to say to people, you can transform your life, and it isn't this kind of cathartic, massive shift that you will make and once and that's it. It's a slow trickle process of changing certain things gradually. And my word, well, I'm just so excited to hear what you're up to, Paula. But I will definitely do another one, but I'm going to draw this one to a close for now. Otherwise, we'll just chat forever.
We will we'll be there forever.
We will. So, how do people get in touch with you, Paula, if they want to find you?
I have my website, which is paulafenegan.co.uk.
Can you spell that? Can you spell that for people?
Okay, so it's Paula, Paula, and then Fenegan is Fenegan. They can follow me on Instagram, they can follow me on Facebook, and they can also get hold of me on LinkedIn. So if they want to know more about the 21-day kickstart, or they'd like to go take it further and follow the full program and do rest, refresh, renew, where we rest the body, we renew it, and then we go, right, okay, let's think cognitively now about where you want to go, just to have a coach there to support you, to give you some motivation, some goals, and some tools to help you, know your triggers, know what your beliefs are, know what your values are, because they drive everything, wherever you go, really. And people don't realize that.
Oh, that's another discussion we can have, values and beliefs, because values are so much a big part of what we're seeing right now in the world. And, why we're at polarized ends of it, because our values are different. And so the top one of mine, by the way, is freedom, it turns out. Well, one of my top ones, the other top one is authenticity. So, but yeah, it's a very big part of change, is of finding out what your values are and finding what fits that, rather than going against yourself, which is what a lot of people do and wonder why they fail. So, wow, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been a delight as ever. And
absolute pleasure to see you again. It's been a long while.
And I'm going to say to people, check this out. Find me on alchemytherapies.co.uk and also on myemotionalaudit.com, and obviously subscribe. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.